Welcome to All Things Puppy. My name is Bree Lowry. I am one of the canine behavior assistants here at Our Companions. This presentation is going to cover how to get started with your new puppy. So today we are going to cover the main things to work on with your puppy. So first we're going to cover positive reinforcement training. We're going to cover how to read your dog's body language, how to socialize them, crate training, house breaking, and exercise. So what is positive reinforcement training? This is a science-based method. So we have learned that dogs learn through association. So for example, when you rustle that bag or a bag of treats, a bag of food, and they come running and they are so excited. And that's because they've learned that that rustling noise means that they're going to be getting food or a treat. And that's something that they find rewarding. So that means they're going to do it more and more. Rewarded behaviors are repeated behaviors. So that's why we want to focus on the behaviors you want and try to actually avoid and ignore the behaviors that you don't want. So the way that we use positive reinforcement training, especially with puppies that are just learning the world, we want to teach them that they can have a positive association with the world around them. So when dogs learn, they're actually also forming an emotional response. So like I said, with the rustling bag, the dog finds that treat rewarding. So with it being rewarding, they're actually happy and excited for that to happen. So the way that we start with positive reinforcement training is we use what is called a marker. So a marker is a signal used to mark desired behavior the instant it occurs. So we use the marker word yes. So what we do is we pair the word yes with a treat or something that the dog finds rewarding. Sometimes not all dogs find treats rewarding. As a puppy, they usually will, but not always. So sometimes it's play, sometimes it's pet. You have to figure out what your dog finds rewarding. So what we do is we pair the word yes with what they find rewarding, and we start off just doing that, just getting them used to the word yes, so that when we use it as the marker word, they're actually going to start working for the word yes, predicting that they're going to be getting a treat. So once they've learned that, which I have here is learning the marker word yes, then we can start teaching them their name. So puppies obviously don't come knowing their name, so we have to teach it to them. So I'm going to show you on the next slide what we call the name game. When you're first starting this, you are not going to be looking for any behaviors. You're just going to be saying their name. So when you're teaching them the marker word, you're going to just say yes and give them a treat. Yes, and give them a treat. So to add to that, you're going to say their name. So puppy, yes, treat. So you're going to want to do the loading the marker word before you add the name to it. So you want them to understand that yes means treat. So you can do that for about 4 days, and you only really have to do it for about 10 treats twice a day. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. So when we move on, it's name, yes, treat. You're not looking for any behaviors, but eventually we're going to start to look for eye contact. So now I'm going to show you a video from one of our training bites that can be found on our YouTube channel. This is from the 4-step warm-up we have. I am only showing you steps 1 and 3 because these are the ones from the previous slide. These are what you're going to start off with the puppies. So the first one is loading the yes, and then the second one is going to be the name game. Just remember, we are not looking for any eye contact yet when we're first starting this. We will be just saying their name and giving them the treat. No behaviors being asked for. Then after a few days, you can start waiting for eye contact.
So the first thing you want to do is load your marker word. So our marker word is yes. So all you have to do is say yes and give the dog a treat. You're not looking for eye contact. You're not going to say their name. You're just going to yes and treat. And you can do that 5 times. And we're just getting them in their think and learn zone. Yes. 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 So the third step of our warm-up is the name game. So the name game is when you say the dog's name and you wait for eye contact. And what you want to make sure you do is say their name once. And he is giving me excellent eye contact already. So you say, Jason, yes. Jason, yes. Jason, yes.
So what I forgot to mention on the previous slide was to only say their name once. So the reason we do that is so that they don't learn that their name is puppy, puppy, puppy. We just want them to learn that their name is puppy just once, and then that is what's rewarding. So they learn that their name is rewarding, their name only once. Now we move on to dog body language. So this part is really up to us to do the work. So we need to learn our dog's body language because we have to learn how they're communicating with us and what they're trying to say. Our dogs are always reading our body language, and actually we communicate best with them with our body language because they don't really know what words we're actually saying. We teach them the cues and they understand those, but when we're just talking to them, they don't actually understand what we're saying. So we don't understand what they're saying when they're barking. So this is how we will learn how to read what they're saying. And this is really important because it's going to help strengthen your bond. So being able to read what they're saying, say they're in an uncomfortable situation and you see that they are nervous and you're able to take them out of that situation. They are going to trust you so much more once you're able to read them and advocate for them. So the most important ones to cover are the signs of stress. Everybody kind of knows what a happy puppy looks like. They're loose, they're wiggly, their tail is wagging, and they're just always enjoying life. However, sometimes dogs and puppies are actually really stressed out. Maybe they were just recently adopted and they don't really know how things are in the house and they're just really confused. And even just regular normal puppies get really stressed out in different situations. So what you want to look for is a tucked tail, especially when it's like tucked all the way up to their tummy, their ears pinned back, and usually their whole face is actually kind of pinned back when they are extremely stressed, cowering, barking or whining, chewing or licking their paws. So this is something that dogs do naturally and normally, but if they're doing it excessively, even some dogs will do it to the point where it's actually harming themselves. So if you see that, you're definitely going to realize that they are stressed out. And if they're doing that in your home on a daily basis, you're going to want to talk to your vet about that. Diarrhea is common, so that could be like even the next day after a stressful event. It doesn't always happen right away. So that is something to look out for. Refusing to eat is one that we see mainly in a training situation. They could choose to skip their meals, and that's a sign of stress. But when you're working on training and they were eating treats just fine, but then all of a sudden something scary happens and they refuse to eat those treats, you're going to know that they are actually really stressed out and you're going to want to remove them from that situation. Whale eye is something that we see when a dog wants to be left alone, usually. So It's when you can see the whites of their eyes. So maybe they're giving a little bit of side eye, and you can see that white of their eye. That is one way for a dog to communicate that they want their space, so you should respect that. Then we have what's called calming signals. So these are used to help a dog feel less stressed. These are very common behaviors that you would see on a daily basis, but you want to extra pay attention to them when you're in a new situation. So the most common ones are yawning, lip licking, and shaking off. So yawning, you may assume that your dog is tired, and very much so, they could be tired. So if you assume that they're not tired and they are excessively yawning, that is a pretty good sign that they are stressed out. Lip licking is kind of like a tongue flick, some people call it that, but their tongue is touching their nose. So sometimes a dog will do that when they're hungry and you're preparing their food and they start licking their lips. But if you're in a new situation, there's no food around and you're like, they're just doing that. And usually it is pretty subtle. So if you see it a lot, it's definitely a sign that your dog is stressed. But it also means that they're trying to calm themselves. So if you see it and it's not with a combination of a bunch of the things on the other side of the list, then I would say that you should be okay to continue what you're doing, but just be aware and pay attention to their body. So shaking off is a really good one. Here at our companions, we always say good shake. We always praise the dog when they shake off, because it is just like when they shake water off, right? They go in the water and then they have to shake that out. They're in the rain, they shake all that water out. What's happening when they're using this as a calming signal is that they're actually shaking out that stress. So be easy if we could do that, right? We could just shake out all of our stress. So it doesn't always mean that all of their stress is completely gone, but it is a really good sign that they are trying to calm themselves and that they are feeling better about a situation. And then we have what are called displacement behaviors. So these are showing that a dog is a bit conflicted in the situation they're in. So maybe you are trying to have them interact with a new person or another animal, and they start to do these behaviors that are showing that they really don't want to interact, or they're not sure if they want to interact. So maybe they go off to the side and just start sniffing a random piece of grass or just something in the house where they really aren't that interested in it, but they're just doing this behavior because they're just like, well, I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to go over here and sniff. Scratching is the same. Obviously, your dog could just be itchy, so that's why they're scratching. But in a situation where it doesn't really make sense for them to scratch, that is considered a displacement behavior. And then looking away, so they really don't want to look at what they are trying to interact with. So they're just completely looking the other way, and they're just like, well, if I don't look, it's not there. So those are situations where you don't necessarily want to proceed in having them interact with that, or you want to make sure that it is their choice to do so and you don't force them into that situation. So they have to work through which emotions and what they want to do in that situation. And here are a few illustrations. This is from Lily Chin. She is a very big positive reinforcement advocate. She is an artist, and she is not a dog trainer, but she really likes to spread the word and show it in really cute, awesome ways. So this is her dog, Boogie. He, as you can see, he has a lot of different body postures here. So he has alert. So his ears are perked forward, his tail is even with his body, so he's alert and he's like, oh, well, there's something. And the next one, he's suspicious. So you can see his body weight is leaning forward and his tail is a little bit further up. anxious, you can see that cowering. His ears are pinned back and his tail is tucked for a Boston Terrier tucking. And he is vocalizing and backing away. Where he's angry, he's actually going towards whatever is making him angry. He's also vocalizing and his tail is up. So peace is one of those displacement behaviors. It's also saying that they don't mean any harm. So he's looking away. Stressed, you can see that he is panting and he's also yawning. They don't have the big open mouth, but he is yawning. You can see his face is pulled back, almost like he's stretched back and his ears are back. His tail isn't that tucked, but he is appearing to be stressed here. And then we have the lip lick, which she writes as a nose lick. So that is what it looks like. Obviously, it doesn't stay there. It is a quicker flicking of the tongue, but that is what you could look out for. And then we have sniffing the ground, turning and walking away. Those are more of those displacement behaviors. And then we have needing space. So this is the whale eye that I was talking about. So you can see it looks like a crescent moon and he is looking up. And sometimes they'll look to the side and give you a little bit of side eye. But you can tell for most of these, he's obviously still, but you can tell that his body is not inviting. It is all closed together. So that is him communicating that he needs some space. And stalking, he's leaning forward with his body lowered, but his tail is even and his ears are perked. Then there's the stress scratching displacement behavior. That is exactly what a shake off looks like there. So you can see all that stress coming off of him. And then a nice and relaxed dog. His ears are what we call airplanes. So they're not forward, they're not back, they're out to the sides. His face, you can see, is nice and calm and relaxed. There's no tension, it's not pulled back, and his tail is super neutral. And this slide is very important for people to see because there are some body languages, some postures that are kind of hard to read because they mirror each other pretty closely. So the green is a calm and relaxed dog, and the orange is a shut down dog. So a calm dog laying down, you can see that his ears are forward, his tail's up, his body is out. He's actually turned on his hip. And then in the orange, you can see someone is reaching towards him. His body is not inviting. He is closed up. His ears are not forward. He's actually not even looking really up at the person. He's just looking straight like, if I ignore you, you won't pet me. And you can also see his tail is pretty far down, glued to his body. So then we have interactions with other dogs. So as you can tell, it looks like in the green, they are just taking a break. They're both still interested in each other. They're both leaning towards each other. And there's a little bit of a tail wag. His ears are forward and his mouth is open. In the orange, you can see that he is not wanting to interact with these other dogs. They are all coming towards him and he is in a very vulnerable position where he is laying down on his back. His face looks worried and he's basically what we call a tap out, where he's saying, please don't interact with me. I don't want to. He's communicating that he wants them to go away. And hopefully those dogs listen. So then we have, this is probably one of the most difficult to read. So we have what is a belly rub, which against a tap out, which is what I just described with the other dogs, but dogs also do this with their people. So a belly rub, you can see his body is curved and his mouth is open, his ears are forward. You can see he's probably wiggling around. And he looks like a happy, usual dog for a belly rub. However, in the orange, you can see just how tense his paws are. They're just stuck out. They're not bent. They are just stuck out. His face doesn't look happy. His mouth is shut. His ears are back. And he's not fully inviting. There's no movement there. His body is very straight. And this is a dog that I would not try to rub their belly because they're actually asking for you to go away and not inviting you to come in. And then we have Boogie, and he is ready for a walk. His paw is up like he's moving, his ears are forward, his mouth is mostly open, his tail is straight up. He's ready to go. But then we have him in the orange where he is completely stopped. He's not moving. His ears are completely pinned back. He doesn't look happy, and his tail is tucked and he's cowering. So if you notice your puppy to start to show that when you are taking them out on a walk or you're trying to work on some training, you're going to want to end it there and do something a little more fun, something that you know they enjoy. Now we're going to move on to socialization. So this is massive for puppies because they don't really know the world yet. You have to get them into it. And what we want is for them to have happy associations with these. We want them to enjoy them. So it's important to have them enjoy and get to see other dogs. They don't necessarily have to interact with other dogs, but just being able to see them and know that they're going to get something good because they're seeing a dog is what we want to teach them. So with other people, we want them, and this can be done in your house, outside, really anywhere, because there's people everywhere, but we want them to learn that people are good and that they don't have to have any reactions to them. We don't want them to be overly excited to go and greet every single person. We're going to want them to learn that they can see a person and it's rewarding, but we don't have to go crazy one way or the other, happy or overly stressed. And then there's new environments. So if you always walking your dog in the woods and then all of a sudden you go to a neighborhood where there's more people, there's more cars, and they're terrified because they never saw that before when they were a puppy, then they're going to be really confused and probably really scared. So you want to expose them to these things when they are young and just learning the world. How do we do this? What you want to do is pair absolutely everything with treats or something that they find rewarding. So play or praise, being pet, something that they really find rewarding. And what you want to do is make sure that you're reading your dog's body language so that you know that they're enjoying themselves and that they're not overly stressed and shut down. So you're going to want to avoid seeing that their body is showing that they're stressed out. So if you see that they're extremely stressed, what you want to do is try to gain some distance away from whatever may be stressing them out. Maybe you're in a park walking them and there's another dog that is just completely barking, freaking out on them, and then your puppy starts to shut down. They get scared, they don't want to keep walking. What you want to do is try to get some distance away from that barking dog and see if they'll start to take treats from you, because if they are too stressed, they're not going to be eating those treats. So if you gain some distance away, the hope is that they're going to start taking treats and then they're going to be enjoying the situation more. However, if they don't, you're going to want to end the session and you're going to want to do it on a good note. So maybe you can get one last little game session in, something with them that they do find it enjoyable, and then just head in the car, go home, and you can try again another day. What we definitely want to avoid is what's called flooding. So flooding is a term that's used when someone forces their dog into a situation, and this is done with people as well. So say, for example, you don't know how to swim and you're terrified of water because you never learned how to swim. And then all of a sudden, you're walking by the side of a pool at your friend's house and someone thinks it's funny to just go and push you into the water. You don't know how to swim, so you're probably going to feel like you're drowning, if not actually drowning. So you're going to be petrified. And when you get out of that water, you're probably not going to be very excited about going in water again, right? It's going to be terrifying and traumatizing. So maybe you're going to want to go and take swimming lessons after that, just in case maybe you fall into the water. But the point is, you can't just throw them into something. They have to take those swimming lessons in order to get to the point of wanting to go into the water again. So if you force them into a situation they don't want to be, they may be traumatized, and then you have to work back to square one of trying to get to train them through that situation. And it's harder when they have a bad feeling around that situation. So we want to start everything off good and slow. This is another Lily Chin illustration on how to socialize your dog. So with new people, you're going to want to have your dog approach the person instead of the person approaching your dog. You're going to want to show them all sorts of different people. There are all sorts of ages, different sizes, people in wheelchairs, all sorts of different things. And they don't have to interact with all of them. You just have to be at a park or in your neighborhood and just treating them whenever they see something that is new. So when you're in your home, you're going to want to have people come in and teach them that people coming into the house can be a good thing. You want them to learn this off at an early age so that when they grow older, this doesn't become a problem. And then with other animals, you can have them interact with other dogs. It is very important for puppies to interact with other dogs, so dog daycare is a really good idea because when they have that interaction with other dogs, they're learning how to be a dog and how to communicate properly with other dogs. So if you don't give them this outlet, they're probably going to start to play with you like you're a puppy, and that's a lot of times when puppies get mouthy, or maybe they start playing and growling, and you're not a dog. You're not going to be able to communicate the way another dog would. So if you give them that exposure, if you give them that outlet, another dog would be able to correct them and say, hey, that's not how we play as dogs. And they're more likely to listen to that dog because they can speak the same language. And then with new environments, we want them to hear, so the first one is thunder. Obviously, you can't control the weather, but when that happens, if you happen to be home during a thunderstorm, you can just give them a treat every time there's a loud boom, or you can give them some chew toy or something so that while it's happening, they realize that, oh, this isn't that bad, there's nothing wrong with it, and they don't start to have a fear about it. And then also important is different flooring. So some dogs we see are petrified of walking on tile because most of their house is carpet. There's hardwood floor, there's all sorts of different types of flooring. So if you can expose them to that, then that is awesome. And the vet is a big one. So going to your vet as a puppy, it can be really scary. They go and get their shots, and then if they have a bad experience, it's going to be really hard to recover. So what you can do before your first vet appointment is that you can go there and you can just give them treats. You can start in the parking lot, give them treats, making this really fun place to be, right? So that when they do go inside and the scary things happen, it can be a really cool, exciting things because, ooh, we did this, it was great, we had such a great time here. And really, one of the most important things you can do is just go to a park, just sit there, watch the world around you, and just give them those treats. Make it really fun. Crate training is awesome to teach any dog, but most importantly, a puppy. So the reason we want to use a crate is to give them a safe space. It is good to provide this for a puppy and for any dog, because if they want to get out of a situation, they know that they can go somewhere that it's just theirs and they won't be bothered by anyone. It's good for preventing destruction, especially in puppies, because they're going to be able to have somewhere that you feel they're safe, because they're not going to be chewing on your furniture while you're not home and maybe accidentally ingesting something. And housebreaking is probably the most important use for a puppy when it comes to crate training, because accidents happen and they are very young and they can't hold their bladders and you can't constantly supervise them. So it really comes in handy being able to put them in their crate and have them feel comfortable being in their crate. And there are a few types of different crates. There's wire, there's plastic, and then there's soft crates. You can look into those. Most people use a wire one, but it really depends on your preference and what you feel is best for your dog. So the steps for crate training. What you want to do is you're going to start off with everything outside of the crate. I know it sounds kind of weird because the goal is to have them inside the crate, but you want them to be comfortable. So the first step is to just have it set up in your house. You want to make it cozy, put a bed in there, put some blankets in there, and just have it be a part of the environment. It's something new, so they're going to be interested in it. They're going to investigate it. And we want to do that. We want to make it cool, but we don't want them to learn that, oh, now I have to just go in this thing. So we want them to get used to it just being around. So that whole time, the door stays open. And then outside of the crate, just in normal, regular life, you're going to start to introduce them to a Kong. So a Kong is what I have in the upper right corner. And this is something that has the two holes. So a bigger hole on the bottom, a smaller hole on the top. And what you do is you stuff that big hole with something that is soft that the dog finds really yummy. So a lot of people use canned food. Yogurt is a good one. Some people use peanut butter. There's spray cheese. There's all sorts of different things you can put in there. And this will be done outside of the crate so that they find it really awesome. So that once they learn the next step, which is putting the Kong tied inside the crate, then they were already used to doing it. So now it's just in a different environment. And once again, once you move it into the crate, that door will stay open. If they are struggling to go inside the crate when it's tied in there, you can start with just tying it to the outside of the crate. Everything has to be done at your own puppy's pace. So if it's going slow, that's okay. Don't worry. Just always make sure that they're enjoying it and that they're comfortable. So once you're doing that, the door is going to be open. It's been open all of these 3 steps at this point. You're going to now start to work on closing that door. So while they're in there, they're working on that Kong, you're going to start to close that door. And you're going to start very, very, very short, just a few seconds. So they're in their Kong, or they're eating their Kong, they're in there entirely. You close that door, you open it back up. And you're going to do this for however long it takes for them to be able to finish their Kong, and you're going to open that door as soon as they finish that Kong. So if your dog finishes that Kong super quickly, you can actually freeze them, and that will add to the time of how long it's going to take them to finish that Kong. And that's probably the best idea to do, just so you have a longer period of time to work on this. The next step is now slowly opening the door. So you're going to do this several times a day. This is all going to take a very long time. Your dog may just figure it out really quickly. They may just go in and it's, woo, time to get the Kong, and that's the idea we want. If they aren't having that reaction, take a few steps back. Go slower. This is all done at your own dog's pace. So when you start to delay opening the door, you're going to want to do it in super small increments like you were when you were closing it. So close them in, they finish their Kong, you open it like you did. Then add a few more seconds in, and then start to add more and more time. If your dog is fussing, like they are starting to cry or bark, you're going to want to wait to go and open that door until they're quiet. So maybe it's just a brief second that they're quiet, but when they're quiet, then you can go and open it. You don't want to do it when they're fussing, or else they're going to learn that, well, every time I cry and I bark, they come and they let me out. It's the same idea as a crying baby. And then once they begin to enjoy their crate, that is the whole goal of this, is we want them to enjoy their crate. We don't want them to just be shoved in it and here's your Kong. We want them to be like, woo, Kong time, let's go. So once they are at that point, you can use it for multiple different ways. Of course, potty training, really, really big one. You can have them eat in their crate, so that will also add to them enjoying it. If you have multiple dogs, this is always a good idea. You can have them take some nap time in there, because all puppies need to take naps, and you can just have them sleep in there. It's going to be somewhere we really want them to find to be comfortable and to be their safe space. So it's important for them to enjoy this. And then once you have completed all of these steps, you're going to be able to leave their house, and you're going to want to do this while they're happily licking their Kong. So here we go on to the big one, housebreaking. Now that we know how to go in your crate, we can start doing housebreaking. Housebreaking is major when it comes to puppies, because they have no idea where they're supposed to go to the bathroom. We have to teach them. So you need to have constant supervision and management for this to work out. So that includes a crate, baby gates to keep them only in certain areas, and tethering them. So tethering them to yourself is a possibility. You can use a longer leash and wrap it around your waist as if it were a belt, and have that puppy attached to you at all times so that you have constant supervision of them. You can also tether them to items in your home. So say you need to work in your office, and then you can tether them to an item so that you can still see them while you're working. So when you are working on this outside of the house, you're going to want to use a leash every time, and you're going to want to go to the same spot. So you're going to choose a designated potty area, so that this way everyone in your family knows exactly where to go, and then your puppy is predicting this. So, okay, every time we go to the bathroom here, and they're going to know that when you start to go there, it's time to go potty. So what you do is you bring them out there, and they sniff around, and then they go, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. So it may be 10, 15 minutes that you're out there before they go to the bathroom. But this designated area, you're going to want to keep fairly small, because if you give them the entire yard, they're just going to spend all that time sniffing. So we want them to learn that this area is where they go to the bathroom. So when they do go to the bathroom, finally they did it, you're going to want to praise them. So they start going, and then as soon as they finish, you're going to want to praise them. You're going to make it fun. We did it. Good job. Wonderful. Wonderful. We finally did it. So sometimes people will go inside. So the dog peed, you go inside, and then all of a sudden they're pooping. Well, maybe they just didn't have enough time outside. What can be a big help is going from, okay, they peed, now it's time to go inside, and then wait just a minute or two, bring them back outside, because by that point they may poop, because when they first went in, they realized, oh, I still have to go. And so avoiding allowing them more time to do it in the house, you're going to want to bring them back outside. And again, you're going to want to praise when they go. What you want to make sure you never do is punish them when they do go in the house. This is a very young dog. They don't know where they're supposed to go. You have to teach them. So when they go in the house, it's because their bladder can't control itself. They don't know. They're too young. So punishing them really isn't going to teach them anything. Usually, by the time you notice that they've gone to the bathroom, it could be a whole hour from when they went, and they're not going to know that the reason they're being punished is because they went to the bathroom in the house. And that could also really sour your relationship with them. They're going to start to be scared of you because they're being punished for something they may not even know what they did, or it was just because they had to relieve themselves and they weren't provided the opportunity to do it outside. So these are really big things you want to pay attention to. Maybe when you're having the constant supervision of them, you notice that they're going to have to start to go to the bathroom. So this is a big thing when you're having this constant supervision. You're going to start to learn what their signals are. Maybe they start to whine a little bit. Maybe they start to pull you towards the door because they know they have to go outside. Maybe they start to spin in a little circle like they're gonna go. You're gonna wanna try to do it before, but if they start to go right in front of you, you're going to want to stop them somehow. You don't want to make any scary noises, but you're gonna want to somehow get them to break that and then bring them outside immediately and clean it up after they've gone to the bathroom and finished outside. And just remember to never punish them. It may be frustrating having to clean all the time, but if you're consistent enough with this, then you won't have to clean up as much. So what you want to do, and this is optional, but it is very helpful, is to keep a log. So maybe they poop the same time every single time in the house, 20 minutes after they eat, right? So you're going to want to keep a log. Okay, well, I fed them at this time, and now they're pooping in the house 20 minutes after. And maybe that happens every single day, right? Maybe they have a pee accident every 3 hours. Once you have picked up on what their routine is, what is going on, then you can learn when to bring them outside. But it is pretty good to let your dog out every 20 minutes after they eat, just so that they're given that opportunity, because their bladders are very small and they can't control it. They can't hold it long enough. So once you have that consistency, once you know what their schedule is, you create that schedule for them, they're going to start to learn and understand when and where they go to the bathroom. And as I mentioned, you're going to learn their signals throughout this whole thing so that it's easier for both of you to know when it's time to go out. With exercise and play, this is very important for puppies because they have so much energy, right? They may be tired for the first couple weeks that you have them, but then all of a sudden they become crazy. And there's always that witching hour where they've been calm, and then all of a sudden at 6 p.m. they're running around the house having zoomies, right? So we're gonna wanna help them get that energy out somehow. So walks is the easiest one. You can bring them for an hour-long walk, maybe 2 times a day if you can. And not only is a walk helping them get their energy out, but it's helping keep them enriched with lots of different smells. We're exposing them to the environment. It's a great time to work on the training for socializing. Daycare and play dates are those big opportunities to get them to be more familiar with dogs. They're getting that outlet of interacting with other dogs and not interacting with you like you're the dog. And then cooperative fetch is a fun game. It's just normal fetch, but what you're doing is you're going to have 2 balls. So, or whatever they're playing fetch with. So you're going to throw the first one, they go and get it, and then they come back, right? You have a second one and you make that one really, really, really exciting so that they drop that first one. They drop that first one, you throw the second one, and now you can pick up the first one. And this game just repeats for however long you want it to repeat for. And what we're teaching them is some impulse control, right? They're learning to drop the ball, but they're also going to learn to wait for you to throw that second ball. And of course, puppies don't have that much impulse. So you're going to have to teach them, and maybe they jump up at you when you have the second ball. You can hide it and wait until they're calm, and that 1 second they're calm, then you can throw it. So the reward is you throwing that ball because that's what they want. Then we have mental enrichment, mental exercise. So it's really important for dogs to have this outlet because they're scavengers, right? Their brains are bored, and that's a whole different kind of energy that they have. There are plenty of enrichment toys that you can get, or you can make your own. I will show you on the next slide, a video of different ways that you can enrich your dog. There are scavenger hunts. Maybe you can put treats all around the house, and then you can go and let them find it. That's actually one way you can give them their meals so that they have to go and find it and they're hungry, and it's a lot of fun. And of course, training is a great mental exercise. Just like I said, when you're going for that walk, they're not only getting that physical exercise, but they're also getting the mental exercise of being socialized, seeing all these things, and just working on basic training. They're sit, they're down, those regular things. They have to use their brain, and those wheels are turning so that they're getting that mental enrichment. And this is another one of our training bites found on our YouTube channel. This is all about mental enrichment. These are some different things that you can purchase and different things that you can build. If you go to the YouTube link, you can see where you can purchase some of these items and how you can make them.
So today's training bite is all about mental enrichment. Mental enrichment is so important to your dog, and it can get them more tired than physical enrichment, taking them for a walk. So there's a lot of things that you can do. You can buy things online, but you can also make a lot of things as well. So Bree's going to show us some enrichment activities. This is called a licky mat. You can buy this on Amazon or at your local pet store. And what you do is you take yogurt, peanut butter, any soft kind of canned dog food, and you spread it on there, and then you can freeze it to make it even more difficult, and then your dog licks it off. This is a Kong. This is a Jason size Kong. You can stuff them with all different things. Favorite things to stuff them with are peanut butter, cream cheese. You can put anything in there, and then of course you can freeze them to make it harder for the dog to get the food out. This one is a red one. This is for a dog that is a normal chewer. They also come in black for dogs that are more aggressive chewers. So a lot of things you can do at home, or you can make at home.
The wind got in the way there a little bit.
This is called a snuffle mat. It might look kind of difficult, but it actually is very easy to make. If you see the bottom of it is just a dish liner, and then you just tie the fleece into the dish liner, and then what happens is you put treats in, and the dog goes ahead and snuffles those all out. And all those packages that you can get in, you can go ahead and make your dog some busy boxes. So you just take your boxes and you fill them with all kinds of paper and stuff, and again, put treats in them, and your dog will go and snuffle around in there and get those treats all out. Another do at home that you can do is you have a muffin tin and you just put tennis balls in it, and underneath the tennis balls you can put treats, and then your dog will go and lift up the tennis balls to get the treats.
So that last one Jason has is just a Tupperware with holes in it, and then the treats are in it, and he's just flipping it around and trying to get those treats out. For puppies, it is very common for them to play bite and mouth. So just like kids, their teeth start to grow in, their adult teeth start to grow in, and they start to lose their baby teeth, and that is it kind of hurts, and they want to get that chewing out. And like I said, if they're not given that outlet to interact with other dogs, they're going to treat you like a dog, and they're probably going to be extra mouthy. So what we want to start with is interrupting and redirecting them. What you want to do is call them away from the person that they are mouthing on. So if you're watching it happen, this is what you're going to want to do. And you're going to want to give them a toy or something that they're actually allowed to chew, something that's more appropriate for them to chew instead of someone's arm. If it's happening to you, then you're going to want to simulate the yip of another puppy. Once again, this is how puppies and dogs communicate with each other. So once we make that noise, the hope is that they're going to stop or let go, and then you're going to immediately stop all interactions and remove your attention. So when you remove your attention, that actually means that you are completely ignoring them. You're not looking at them, you're not talking to them, you're not touching them, you're not doing anything. You're basically just a statue, right? So when you do this, maybe it's happening and you can't really do much, right? You're just standing there already. But if you're sitting down, you can stand up, just calmly withdraw your hands. And this is going to tell them that, okay, their playmate really doesn't want to play with me, I guess. So they're going to learn that it's not fun anymore, right? We're not getting this attention that we want. We're not getting what we want out of this. When they're calm, you can play with them maybe with a toy, something that's not your arms. You can give them their attention again when they're calm. If they don't settle down, you're going to want to put them in that crate and give them a chew toy for them to get that out of their system. And furthermore, we want to designate chew toys for them, right? We can't give them an appropriate chew toy if we don't designate what that is. So there are tons of different things you can give them. There are some bones specific for chewing. There's ones that you can put these like rawhide rings on, just something for them to get that out of their system. You do want to make sure that it is safe for them though, and that they're not entirely ingesting things that they shouldn't be. This is helping them with their teething, and chewing is actually a calming method. So the hope is that giving them this will teach them that they can be calm and do this on something else other than you. If they are being restless and mouthy, that is a pretty big sign that they may not have had enough exercise, or maybe they're hungry and they're trying to communicate with us that that's what they need. They have too much energy, right? Or they're hungry, so I need to tell you that. In order to prevent or lessen the chances of them mouthing and play biting you, you're going to want to avoid any of the roughhousing, shoving games where you make all that noise, right? And they're going to be more likely to chew on your arms and your hands, right? Because you're offering that to them. And once again, you're going to want to redirect them to a toy that is more appropriate. And when you do notice them doing that, even when they're on their own, you're going to want to praise them and reward them with your attention. So you can just say, oh, good boy, good girl, good job, so that they learn that that's what you want them to do. Rewarded behaviors are repeated behaviors. And finally, safely leaving your puppy home alone. So maybe this entire time you've been home, you've been working on all of this training, and eventually you're going to have to leave, right? You're going to have to go to the grocery store. You're going to have to do something, go back to work. It's something that you have to work on because they're not always going to have someone around the house 24/7. So you're going to want to start by leaving in short increments, and you want to give them something to do to keep them entertained and distracted when you're leaving. Just like when you're working on the crate training, you give them that calm right before you leave so that they aren't paying attention to you walking away from them. If you do feel that your puppy is starting to have some separation related issues, then you can call our helpline, or you can email our helpline. I have the information right there. So feel free to do that even if you have any questions about this or just any worries. And another training bite here, we filmed this during COVID. So we wanted to make sure that people understood the importance of leaving your dog home alone because once again, no one can be in their house 24/7.
Today's training bite is the importance of leaving your dog home alone.
Everyone has been home 24/7 and our dogs have loved it, but soon we're going to be leaving them. So we have to get back to them understanding that and realizing that they can stay home alone.
Before you start leaving your dog alone, you want to make sure that they're comfortable in whatever their safe space was before you were home all the time. So it may be your crate, it may be a bed, it may be your room. So what you want to do is make sure that they still find it really fun, give them great things inside of it, maybe a Kong, maybe some good treats, and just make sure that they really enjoy it. Now that you have designated a safe space to your dog and they are comfortable in it, the next step you want to do is recognize what you're doing. So maybe before you leave, you brush your hair, you brush your teeth, you grab your shoes, and then you grab your keys and you're ready to go. Although that's what we are used to doing, our dogs are paying attention to us all the time and they're going, oh, wait, that, and then that. And so they must be leaving. And that's when they start to get upset. So it's triggering them and it's giving them a negative association with you leaving.
So you want to turn these triggers around for them and make them positive, and you also want to be very random about when you pick up your keys, put your shoes on, so your dog doesn't always clue in that this means my human is leaving and I'm going to be left alone. So for example, put your shoes on and don't leave. Just walk around the house and take them off. Pick your keys up and move them to another spot. Take your purse, put it on your shoulder, walk around and put it down so that the dog realizes that these things happen and my human is going to stay. Now that you've worked on these steps to make your dog more comfortable, it's time to start leaving your dog. So what you want to do is you want to do this in small time increments. You want to just, maybe go out the door, walk down, get the mail, come back. You want to go on a walk around the block by yourself. Small times. You don't want to leave your dog for 4 hours for the first time and think that they're going to be okay, because that might stress them out.
If you're really interested in what your dog is doing, you can get a camera, you can prop your phone up, you can talk to your neighbors to see if your dog is barking. But the number one thing you should be doing is making sure that they have something to keep them entertained, like a frozen Kong or a puzzle or a bone, just something to make sure that they aren't paying attention to you leaving. And when you're watching the cameras, you want to make sure that they're doing that and not focusing on where you might be.
So when you leave and you arrive, you want to make it not a big deal to your dog. So when you come home, you want to just come in, put your stuff away. If your dog runs up to you, you can say hello, but you want to make sure that your dog is not overly excited, jumping, barking, being all crazy that you're home. The calmer you are when you leave and when you come back, the calmer your dog will be when you are gone.
The most important thing to remember is to make sure your dog's mental and physical needs are met before you leave. This will ensure that they're going to be calm and relaxed. So maybe it's bringing them for a walk or leaving an enrichment toy for them.
So again, if you have any questions about any of that or you have some concerns, you can always call our helpline or email us. So here are some other resources that we have. We have a tab on our website for dog training and behavior resources. Some of that are things that I covered today, but there are plenty of other things there. We have our helpline, the phone number, and their email. You can reach out anytime about any questions whatsoever. And we have our Parenting with Pets program. This is a program that works with parents, families. So our goal is to have parents start before they have their baby, right? So your puppy grows up without a child in their life, and now they're an adult dog, and they have no idea what it's like to live with a kid. So this program is designed to help parents learn how to incorporate a kid into their regular life with dogs. not a baby course, but and it works with people that already have kids. Maybe they just got a new puppy. It is a great resource for families. And then Lily Chen, she is the artist that did all of those drawings. She has her own website, doggydrawings.net. You can go and look at everything that I showed today, but she has plenty of other drawings that she has that are really helpful for positive reinforcement training with your dog. And then we have Dr. Sophia again. She wrote a book, Perfect Puppy in 7 Days, How to Start Your Puppy Off Right. And that is a great resource for people with new puppies. And continuing training with us. So you cannot sign up for our class until your puppy is 5 months of age. And so that would be our first level class. It is an introduction to positive reinforcement training, which is, we started a little bit here in this presentation, but it goes into further details. Then we have attention games, just the basic cues, and loose leash walking. Some puppies may learn at a young age just to pull whenever they walk. So that is something special that we work on in this class. In order to get to level 2, you have to complete level 1. And level 2 is when we go out on field trips. We have real world environments where we're strengthening those skills and we teach even more, but it's really great for the dogs to be in a controlled group with distractions that are uncontrolled around them. And then we have Family Companions 3 and even more classes. So you need to complete 1 and 2 to get into these. Level 3 is not necessary for the other ones, but level 3 is a group walk. So we choose one skill to work on, and it is less of a class setting, but more so you just go for a hike in the woods or wherever that class is with a big group of dogs that have also completed the classes. And we also have a tricks class, a scent fun class, and a focus class. And we have plenty of other classes to choose from, and you can find all of those on our website. So thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions about anything on this presentation or just any behavior advice you'd like, you can go to our website, you can call our helpline, and you can email our helpline. So thank you.